Alright, so we've worked along here as you've seen me come along and do. Now I've got to the part here underneath the mast. These boards I've just done a dry fit. I've done the template for them. I made a dry fit. Before tomorrow I can continue working up in this direction over towards the port side. I'm happy once this is in, that's all done, and this part's in, that I can actually open up the rest of it and still have enough support for everything here. This isn't complete. Once everything's done in here with the one layer and solidly in, I'm actually going to have to rebuild all the ribs and stuff for these shelving units, make a new drain system for any water that comes down from the mast here. It drips down these cables, so to make sure all the water can get to an exit point, which is actually right under my butt. And then as I rebuild the shelf in, I'm actually going to be tabbing in. I'm going to be doing extra. This bulkhead was only 1/2 inch. I'm actually going to make it up to a 1 inch bulkhead, just for the first foot that goes up from the shelf and also down from the shelf. So it's going to be a lot more solid than it was when it was in the factory. So dry fit's done. This lot just needs to wipe down with some acetone. So I'm going to dismantle it, wipe it down with some acetone, and I'm going to mix up some thickened epoxy to glue the first pieces in. And then I've got my pre-cut piece of matting here, which I'm going to wet out and then slap onto this side here. So let's get cracking. Alrighty, so this is the last day of phase 1. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff blocking the view. But anyway, all this black boarding, which is a 1/2 inch board here, Kusa board, has gone all the way along apart from the far corner there. So that's the last corner that I've got to cut out and replace. I've actually got my buddy Carl, as you know from Bugging Out. He's always there to help me out. He's on the inside now. I think you can maybe see his fingers and a flashlight through there. He's loosening off a lot of piping, cabling, all that sort of stuff. So we've got to clear this corner. Once that's cleared, he's also going to start clearing things on the other side for me, so that when we come to glass up the other side, I've got better access. So big thumbs up and a big thank you to Carl. Leave him some love in the comments. Anyway, let's get this last corner cut out, and then hopefully we can get this job done within the next few days. All right, so we're finally getting somewhere. Yesterday I finished up replacing the last of the rotten wood. I'll show you down there in a second. So now from this side here, from the anchor locker side, it's actually one piece of Kusa board, 1/2 inch thick, same thickness as the wall, and one layer of 1708 glass. So let's have a quick look in there. Hope it's not too dark for it. No, it comes up right. All right, so I've actually cleaned out the anchor locker as well. Well, I say cleaned, it's not exactly like you can eat your dinner off, but I've removed all the tools and bits and pieces and made a bit of space. So now that I've got this done, the next stage is actually to rebuild all the stringers, rebuild the shelf, and at the same time that I put all those in, I'm going to be adding extra glass, extra tabling, thickening everything up, and also adding an extra piece of Kusa board along to strengthen it as well. So first things first though, for me to be able to do that, now that I've got to this point where, you know, the boat is solid again, to a degree, it's not finished, you wouldn't want to go sailing yet, but now it's solid again, I need to make sure everything's ready to actually build all the support. So I'm going to have to put some markings in where all the supports and the levels are at. I'm also going to have to trim off a few bits of wood and a few bits that have been left over from the building process. So everything's then, I can then sand everything back with some 60 or 80 grit paper, wipe everything down with acetone, and then start to measure out and rebuild all the stringers and the shelf system. So I'm fingers crossed I can do it in a day. Wouldn't surprise me if it takes 2, because I'm kind of aching about being in this, working in these positions. It's literally, you feel it every morning I wake up, and I kind of, yeah, it's not fun to have to jump back in this hole every time. I'm sure some of you have done these types of projects before. Let me know about them in the comments. All right, anyway, let's get cracking for this morning. All right, so that's not going to happen in one day. So on the back lip, sorry, I've started to put some stuff back in there, but you see the back lip, the grey one there? This is the, well, I'd say the forward lip rim maybe, of the shelving system. When I was doing my cutting back and cleaning up of this area, then I found out that there was a little bit more rot, bit of deterioration in there. So I've cleaned that out. I've replaced some parts with some of the Kusa board. I've also used some filler, and I've also glassed and re-tabbed that, so then tomorrow I can work from that. So tomorrow we're in good state, but looking at the sky, I also don't want to be working here because any water, any rain is going to come straight in here. So I'm going to call it a day for today. It's a little bit of a fail because it didn't make it happen in one day, but hey, 1 day, 2 days, what does it matter? Anyway, it's all going to be good.
Look at all that rotten wood. Oh, it's it. Pliers are ready.
All right, be there shortly.
So every piece of that stuff is going to get pulled off and glassed on both sides.
Correct. This is the moment, it's just the template basically, and then each piece will get taken off, and I have been marking. Are you filming?
Yeah.
Ah. Hi guys. Thought it was just Erica asking questions, but yeah. So every one of these pieces will be taken back off and put back in, but you know what it's like when you've got sticky fiberglass fingers? You want to make sure everything's got its place, know where it wants to be. So these little temporary baby screws, thank you Stephen, are going to hold it in place, and then I'll be able to take everything off, put thickened epoxy on the back. I will fill against the edges here so I can actually tab all the way up and tab all this in to make it part of the construction.
And this is the Divinicel?
This is Divinicel, which is really nice to work with.
Yeah, I've seen you cutting it. It's just a nice, easy little blade, and it's super simple.
These screws are so small.
So is this we've seen some of the other repairs that have been done on the lagoons. Is this a bigger project than some of the other ones you've seen?
I would say that this is close to one of the biggest ones, because I've looked at a lot of pictures from other people that have the same problem on the Lagoon 400. There's a bit of a group of people that have been sharing pictures on their repairs. They've ranged from just here around the mast, which rotted up, to people that have gone all the way around. There's also been people that have had to come all the way up here. Whereas obviously you can see with my stepping stone method here, I'm only cutting out what's rotten and what's not, and using glass to reinforce, and using composite materials to make it stronger and better. So it's very close to one of the biggest repairs.
And as that's the first layer of glass, you might have to grind back a little bit in some areas before you do the second.
I've actually already sanded all this area here. Is ready to go again. I've actually cleaned it, I've sanded it, I've ground back any rough edges, as you can see here. So this is ready to go again. Needs an acetone and another coat. But when I'm putting this in, I'm going to use that structure to actually make this strengthening. So I'm going to retab around the bottoms, retab all the way in the bottoms. Need to get that water. That's not water, that's resin. Need to clean that up. But once this goes in, it'll become structural. And also once the plate goes across here, which is the shelf for the water tanks across here, that's also going to get tabbed and all the way across as well. So there's a lot more structure that's going to come within the structure that I'm building right now. That's why the first time I did it round, I've just done one coat of glass, because you don't need to do 3 coats on that and then just lightly tab this stuff in. You can actually build it up as you build along.
Alright, so all the structure bit is coming along. Now it just needs to be glassed in.
Okay, so back in the hole again for one last day. What you can see that I've done here, probably not the best angle, shouldn't be in the hole to film this, but this is the way you get it. I've built the shelving areas, I've done the supports underneath, and everything's basically just got a couple of little screws in it to hold it in place. It's going to be some slight adjustment as I do the tabbing, but that's where we're at. So this side is going to be my working side for all my equipment. I'm going to start from the other end. I'm going to fix all the tabbings. I'm going to reinforce the wall, as I said, with an extra piece of 1/2 inch. So basically everything's cut. It's just a case of a lot of gluing it together, really. Epoxying it, tabbing it, a bit of thickened epoxy. So this part of the job should be finished. This is what I'm calling stage 2. Should be finished today. I think I said that 2 days ago, didn't I? Anyway, we've finally got to this point, but anyway, there's been other things holding me up, and I wanted this to be a perfect repair for my buddy. So let's crack on. I'll chuck a time lapse together, and let's start gluing these bits and pieces together. Alrighty, so there we go, stage 2 complete. In here is now nice and solid. We've gone through about, I'm guessing, 4 gallons of resin to get the anchor locker on this side, the whole project done, and a hell of a lot of 1708 glass. But she's looking good, so tomorrow I will jump in here, give it a clean, give it a sand, and then I'm going to pass it over to Erica so you get the cute one back in the camera again. She's going to do some epoxy primer on it and then put some bilge paint in here to make it all look pretty while I start working on the other side.
'Cause I am a barefoot man, barefoot to make my stand. I bare my soles for all the world to see. Yeah. I am a barefoot man, feet planted firmly in the sand. Bare your souls, come along with me. Lose your shoes, lose your blues, come along with me.